Operation status quo. Operation status quo. Prepare to engage. Operation status quo. Ready to engage. Operation status quo. Engaged. Engaged. Oh, there it goes. I almost missed my button again. I miss my buttons sometimes. It'd be good for all of us if I just missed the button for the rest of eternity, right? Hey, how you doing out there on a Monday, ladies and gentlemen? Oh, my goodness gracious. I always feel like I come on, and it seems like it just happens so quickly. I'm always just basically saying, oh, happy Monday. Can't believe it's Monday again. And guess what? It's Monday again. So for some reason, these weeks just keep going by, by and by and by. And here we are again on another happy Monday together here on Operation Status Quo, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a great weekend out there. And I'm so glad that you're here with me today on Operation Status Quo. My name is Pete Palma. I am, of course, your user-friendly host broadcasting live from the comfy confines of my very own home here in beautiful Florida. Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. And Operation Status Quo. If you're new here, thank you. I'm just so happy that you took the time to watch, and you've already made it about a minute, 23 seconds in. I got to give you credit because most people don't even, I think 37 seconds is about the average. So if you made it to this spot, you guys are true fans. No, seriously. But thank you for being here and welcome here. First and foremost, it's just a place, man. This channel, I'm telling you, it's just a place to chill and have a good time and talk about things. Although today's topic's a little heavy in a regard, right? But we'll get into that momentarily. But in general, this is the space where you can always have a friend. You have a friend in me. You found a friend in Jesus. We have a friend in Pete. Okay, all right. Am I losing my mind already? Is it Monday? Sometimes it's funny. I get ready to do the show. I really, my brain is like kind of in a bunch of different spots. And then all of a sudden I hit the buttons and here I am and now it's on and now and I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Do I have something to do? But this is Operation Status Quo, the place where we observe the status quo of life. We learn to flow with the status quo of life. And then, of course, we create our own flow of quo, because that's the only way to go. And the most important aspect of being here on Operation Status Quo is, of course, you, the beautiful people out there, and just knowing that this is a community where we can just express other alternative viewpoints without feeling judged, embarrassed, afraid, or all that kind of stuff. Because I know there's a lot of people out there that think a lot of things, and generally they don't really want to explore those thoughts or speak on them too much because, most people are kind of shut down to that type of stuff, especially if you're really, those people that are really ingrained in the mainstream way of life and always thinking this is the way we have to do things because this is what we've been taught all the time, right? So sometimes it makes it difficult for people to feel comfortable to express what they really believe because not for anything, who really doesn't want to just be happy and enjoy life? And, is it so wrong that our world is trying to expose all these evils that have taken place over generations that have kind of kept us suppressed? Why do we, why is there such a segment of humanity? I mean, I know that people are brainwashed and programmed through mainstream narratives and such, but at the same time, why do people are so against it, so against hearing other alternative thoughts and ideas that could potentially liberate them? Why do you want to stay, in the petri dish of shit, as I say, that they build and keep us in the little pen, that they built around us, this facade of a day-to-day life that they've built around us, keeping all our truths away from us of who we really are and our our individual sovereignty, as well as our connection with divinity, the fact that we are expressions of divinity. So anyway, today is the 11th of September in the good year 2023, and of course, it is September 11th here for those of us in the United States. It's a big day. And, today's program is entitled Never Forget the Lie. And of course, here, if you watch me regularly, you know how I feel about most of these type of things. And I really don't want to get on a heavy thing and make it all just go over the top, conspiracy and stuff and get everybody all worked up and make it argumentative. I just would like to, and I'm, people who know, I don't have to go on a whole tangent, right, to get myself banned on YouTube for saying that, it didn't happen the way they said it happened and, all the lies, with how the buildings were exploded, how the I'm sorry, I got distracted for a second because my cat just went in the litter box. So I guess he knows that I'm basically full of shit. He's full of shit. He's relieving some of his shit. He looks at me, he goes, "You're a piece of shit. So let me get in the litter box and shit while you're here trying to do the show." Thank you.
Heyo.
Appreciate that, Miles. Thank you very much. Good boy over there. I'm glad. Well, I'm glad he's using the litter box. It's better than my pillow. No, but anyway. Listen, let's just be real about some of these things, okay, and how they transpire. And maybe you're a person that doesn't look into, things in this way, and you just believe whatever they told you, happened on that day. But I mean, it's more than obvious the way the buildings collapsed and the heat that it would have taken to melt. I mean, the science has been shown a zillion times. There's plenty of videos you can go watch all that. I mean, I personally don't believe that there were planes. I know they show videos sometimes that show planes, but I've seen a lot of stuff about that too. And matter of fact, there's this video I just was looking today because as I was scrolling through the news, they have this video, I guess, from this guy, Kevin Wesley. You can look this guy up. Kevin Wesley, look on YouTube, Kevin Wesley 911, 9/11 attack or something, right? You'll find it. And it's a video that he took the day of the incident, but said that he had uploaded it to YouTube, but didn't realize he had it set on private or something. And then he changed it over to public so people can see. And this is just like last year. I think it was like a year ago. This video came out. And he's like on this little boat, this like ferry that's off in the water near the towers. And the one tower is burning. And then, obviously at some point, here's the video. It shows, and the plane crashing into the second tower. And, I watched it a multitude of times and I enlarged it and everything because I really found it interesting. Like, listen, and I understand that sometimes some people, it's hard, some of these things, but I'm telling you, when I looked at that video, the way that plane hit the building, and even when I blew it up and got close, like I'm telling you, it's just not right. And the way that people reacted in the video too, as well, like they were just going, oh God, what was that? And it was just like, it really seemed like a put on, so, because listen, a video like that, I understand, because that's the kind of stuff that they'll want to put out so that other people, when people like me say that there were no planes, they could go, oh, here's the video. It's obvious there were planes. But, for anyone who's never really dug into what happened on 9/11, there's first of all, just from the simple facts that there were news agencies reporting the attacks on the towers like before they happened. This was like in other parts of the world, because this, again, to show that the news is just a planned cycle that that they're doing on purpose, right? So it's not like something actually happens, then they find out and blah blah blah. It's like they're already saying it, and they were saying it before it even happened, right? And then I've seen video of like from the helicopter pilot, whatever, who was news. The video was supposedly, when it first happened, the video was only shown once, and then they kind of hid it and didn't show it anymore. But basically, this helicopter pilot's just hanging there, and the freaking building blows up. There's no plane, so whatever you want to believe, I don't want to make it argumentative. There's plenty of technologies out there for, whatchamacallit, to make things look like, obviously Photoshop and all this other kind of stuff, but they can make it look like a plane came. Even if you see a video and you really thought you saw a plane, it still could have been a projection from a satellite or something. And then, as it goes, that's the real thing, that you can see videos that look like a plane, right? But when you really see it hit the building, it doesn't look like what it would look like if the plane actually hit the building the way they said it did. So, and the point is, I don't want to get too deep into all those little facts, as far as, again, and how the buildings came down and the explosions that people saw all around and blah, 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 blah. And, here's another question I'd like to pose. Have you out there, if you're viewing, or just start asking people, right? I've never met anyone that knows anybody that quote unquote supposedly died on these planes. I'm just trying to say that you always see this on like the mainstream news, like even when a big storm comes through, like a tornado rips through Kentucky or something, right? And levels out a neighborhood, and then they're interviewing somebody. Has anybody ever met anybody who's been interviewed by like World News or CNN? I mean, there's a lot of interviews going on all the time, and tragedies and areas. Like, have anybody ever met any of these people that are supposedly, being interviewed for when these tragedies occur? That's what I mean. Like, I don't discount that tragedies occur, but when the news goes in and who they're interviewing, that's the part that's all set up. First, they create the tragedy, whatever it is, and again, of course, I know I'm jumping around here now, but the weather manipulation technology they have, just what happened in Morocco, was it yesterday, day before, whatever, it's over 2,600 people dead now, they said, and they even said it on the regular news, on the MSN website. Mysterious flashes were seen just prior to the Morocco earthquake, because they do that. They do the shit on now. And again, this is the time, people. This is the awakening, and this is what we're going through, and this is the beauty of everything that's happening. These truths are just coming out. They can't hide this crap anymore. I see stories on the news. Bible fact proven. These archaeologists just found something or other. I don't know what they found, but they found something that's directly, from the Bible. And there's a lot of stories lately of artifacts being found and different things. And I know this is 9/11, and let me take a second here to take a step back for just a moment and say, first and foremost, to all the people that lost people on that day, of course, it's a horrible tragedy, and I offer all condolences to the fact that our government killed its own people, of course, right? So, I definitely offer all that, but I still think we have to be vigilant and aware that there's powers that be that create circumstances, everything from what happened in Maui, this thing in Morocco, the fires in California, the fires burning in Canada, Ukraine war. This is not stuff that really is just haphazard and oh my God, we're all victims and all this shit is happening. This is the point. And I every time 9/11 comes around, I just get really kind of, because it was just a horrible thing, right? I'm just saying, just people going to work, people living their lives. We're all just people living, and they do this type of stuff for their alternative motives, to obviously it's financial, a lot of it and everything else. And, the thing with Building 7 and the gold and just beyond, and all the information that was in those buildings that they wanted hidden, because truthfully, we've been in a war for generations and generations, in a sense, okay? And it's good versus evil, trying to, free humanity. And, 9/11 was just an attack by the bad guys to stop the good guys because in 9/11 they were supposed to basically, create financial freedom. I'm sorry, I know I'm really jumping all around, but, I got to stop myself because I'm jumping around. I want to explain it's crazy about how my brain works. And, and again here, I always talk about, I'm not a facts guy per se. I'm a feeling guy. I just feel things and, I see things and when I think about, when I see there's just so much and it's such a wide range, it's such a huge picture of everything that's going on and how, we've been suppressed in so many ways. And, I think 9/11 is an important day for us to really step up and speak up for our freedom because, they tell you it's an act of terrorism, okay, so some crazy terrorist did it, but now you have to get, every orifice on your body checked when you go on a plane. Now they have the Patriot Act, and they track all your finances to make sure you're not a terrorist. And, funny to speak on this because, as I've mentioned here before that I'm a licensed realtor in Florida, and one of the classes I had taken talked about the Patriot Act and talked about it was part of the class was financing and mortgages and such for people that are buying houses, right? And they went through this whole thing about how to prevent fraud, how much they have to check your whole background and make sure your identity is correct, and part of it is this Patriot Act, and it's even to buy a house or something that you got to prove that you're not a terrorist, and they got to dig up your butt in every which way. So let's just look at it first. So let me if you made it this far and you think I'm out of my mind, but let's just take it from the point of view of that they want control over people, right? So whether you believe a plane or not a plane or but I mean, doesn't it kind of make sense that they think about it. They blow up these buildings. Of course, Americans are going to bond together and say, oh, we're going to war. We're going to go get those guys. And then it turned into what? How long were we over there? It turned into, Iraq to Afghanistan to, it's just a mess. It's just a mess of everything. And they just mislead people in every way. And then everybody goes, well, it's okay if they have to check me, before I get on the plane because, it's for our safety and, oh, and if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about, right? That's what they always say too. So it just drives me nuts, all that kind of thing. So I'm not going to go long today because, look, it is what it is. I want to give all my best to people that, anyone that knows people that have suffered during that time. I mean, it seems, there's younger generation coming up now that, wasn't aware or alive long enough, or if they were alive at all, before, if you're like 15 years old or something, right? So you never even saw it, but if you're in your early 20s, you were a baby or whatever, right? So you might not really have experienced it, but I remember being at my job that day, and all of a sudden the one story came in, then the next plane. It was just, then they shut down stuff, then the Pentagon, then this plane out in Pennsylvania, and and I was just like, well, blah, blah. And back then I did really kind of think it. It really wasn't until some years later, a little bit, when I started really kind of think, I would say about, 3-4 years later, like, I don't know, because I just started thinking more about different things and realizing, and then I started hearing some of these other, ideas about it. And of course, I'm always open to believe that there's conspiracy in a way, because I just know that our whole mainstream structure is a lie. So anyway, and then when you really look into it and dig into it, and you see the experts speak on just from how the buildings came down to everything else. It was an inside job, and there were no planes. So just the idea that a plane hits the building, everything's totally incinerated, evaporated, explosion, and then the building collapses like straight down, not like a planned demolition, obviously, which it was. But then they're able to find a passport, one of the terrorist passport in the. It's like laying in the rubble. Oh, everything burned and blew up into oblivion. Nothing's but dust. And here we got his passport. He must have threw it out the window of the plane just before it hit the tower, right? So the point I'm bringing this up today is because it's. What's going on in the world overall, and it's time for truth to come out in all regards, and it's time to expose all these people that have been keeping us like these socioeconomic slaves, like I always say, for all this time. And, I just think it's important to look at it from a different perspective. Everybody, does, and Biden's not even in the country today, right? I mean, like, I'm just saying, like, just think about all these, it's so over the top crazy, but here on Operation Status Quo, we always talk about, we just observe what's going on in the world, right? And maybe I'm getting a little too passionate in a certain regard of being quote unquote angry with it. But the truth is there's no anger, right? These are events taking place. We observe them. We realize that what's going on. We realize that we're being, lied to. And that's why it's time, plain and simple, with just peace in our hearts, to join together like-minded souls, bring rising consciousness of humanity to build a better life. Like, there's no reason this kind of stuff has to happen. And it only happens, and I know it's 9/11, so I'm picking on that one. But at the same time, all this stuff happens to keep people in fear, and to keep people divided, and to keep people under control, and to keep you freaking poor and scared, So that's what's going on. And a tribute, of course, to everyone out there that suffered, as I said. But it did not happen the way they said it happened. None of these things happened the way they said them. The Maui thing, obviously, right? So even this big hurricane that's out there now, Hurricane Lee, and it's supposed to go. Let's see where it really goes, because I think they control that crap too. This thing's been churning out there in the middle of the ocean for a week. They might be able to decide. They might have a joystick, that they're playing a video game, and they're saying, listen, either you give us all the gold, or we're running this storm right into North Carolina. Who the frig knows? I'm just saying. So, and the point is, it doesn't matter right or wrong, good or bad. It doesn't matter what's true is untrue. What really matters is just being aware that we don't know anything, and being aware that we're just, that it's up to us. It's up to each and every one of us to live true to our hearts and create the world we want to see. We can stop these nonsensical things from happening and these crazy maniacs from keeping us under control. We can stop it. We have the power to do that just by living, just by making the choice not to participate in the system that they give us. But they want to keep you trapped in. That's why Hollywood and even sports, right? It's football season started yesterday. So here we go. It's the opiate of the masses. We got football, and it's just like drugs. So they get you wrapped up. It's like crack, watching movies and Netflix and sports. And, I'm not saying I don't enjoy, of course I do, but at the same time, think about it. It's just all distraction. And then in the meantime, they're just taking. And then they blow up some buildings and go, oh, a terrorist did it. And now we have to stick, we have to stick something up your ass before you go in the plane, So just stuff to think about and be mindful of. All my respect to anyone who suffered during 9/11, obviously a horrible occurrence. And it really gets me the most is just to think that these people, just how evil people can be. Just to say, okay, what are we going to do? Okay, well, we'll blow up the towers, and just blow them up. Just like with the Titanic, like we'll just sink the Titanic, get rid of those guys so we can start the Federal Reserve, and they don't care about all those other people that are on the ship or anything. So, I mean, it's just like, wow, it's just a scary place to exist from. I can't even imagine. You want to be part of that group, it's not worth it. All the money and whatever, sex, whatever physical pleasures you want, booze and drugs, I don't know, whatever they do, there's nothing worth any there's nothing worth having in this physical world to offset giving away the truth of your heart and being a kind, compassionate person that lives life with reverence and respect and personal responsibility. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, if you're somebody, I'm sure a lot of people who would watch what I do, excuse me, already feel the way, realize about 9/11. There's a lot of symbolism in it, and it goes deep in numerology, it goes deep in astrology. There's just so many levels because everything ultimately is one. But, if you want to look into it yourself, you can go look into it yourself and, and see what you find and see how it resonates with you. But here on Operation Status Quo, we observe and we create our own flow of quo. So, I'm not letting myself live on their terms. That's for darn sure. So anyway, that's what we got for you here today on Operation Status Quo, ladies and gentlemen. A somber day overall in America to remember, but I can't believe 22 years, 22 years already since that happened, and I remember it so vividly. So I even had a lot of friends that went up there to try to help, clear rubble and stuff like that who volunteered. So it was certainly a time when you look back on it now and how people galvanized over it and, this whole idea of America. And, they manipulate, they kill their own people and then lie to send more of their own people off to war to die, so they can just keep control over commodities and you and everything else. So this is what we're breaking away from, ladies and gentlemen. So stand strong, be happy, live from your heart, be powerful, and don't take no crap, but be nice. I always say be nice, but, we don't have to take any shit. It's time to starting, local communities and banding together and, helping each other out. And we don't have to listen to this system. I mean, this system that we're so entrenched in, that we're arguing over with all this BS politics and stuff. That's the system that's doing crap like that, 9/11 and Morocco and Maui and forest fires and tidal waves and oh my, doing all that crap, to try to kill us, but we want to make sure we got to keep the system. I need my new phone or I need my new whatever product came out, nonsense widget, of the week. So, all right. I love you guys out there, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have we're off to a start here on the week. It's Monday. So I hope you're doing well out there. I hope you had a great weekend. Thanks again for being here. If you haven't done so already, please take the time to like, subscribe, share, send this out to your family, your friends, those you love, and of course, those you despise as well. I love each and every one of you individually as well as a group. God bless you. And until tomorrow, Operation Status Quo disengaged.